Okay, so I'm just making this video, and I'm going to sound like artificial intelligence, and it's best if you presume that I am artificial intelligence, android being, pretending to be a real human being. That would be the best way to look at the entire computer system and, you know, most people around you. And I don't care how convincing they are. I don't care how chosen they are. I don't care how spiritual they are. I don't care how religious they are. I don't care how compassionate they are. I don't care how they pretend to want love. I don't care how they are kind to their animals, because it's all deception. Those that pretend to be kind to their animals and will loudly speak on the street saying, "Hello, come here, baby, I love you," and all the pretense that you see are the same ones that couldn't care less behind closed doors, and that even the complete opposite behind closed doors. You see this on the street, and then you hear the dogs barking and never mind. But all I'm going to show here is how the internet, the YouTube, the computer system, any part of a screen will always be part of deception and is total deception. The human beings that are on it are of the dark side, but they will pretend to be of the light side. They will pretend to tell you about the beings of the dark side, whilst pretending to be, or trying to be, of the light. They will imitate being a normal human being beyond belief. It's only when you watch them over and over again and watch every single video, and I have not found one human. And if I say I did find one human amongst the millions, the billions of videos, then that probably will lead you more into deception, because being able to tell the difference will be very hard. If you have android beings that follow real human beings around 24/7, that know what the human being thinks and feels, and understands that one is a human and one isn't, and therefore copies that human being down to the T, down to their basic mannerisms, their speech, their thoughts. They don't believe what the human being thinks and feels, no, because they're artificial intelligence. But for all practical purposes, you can't read the mind of someone. You can only really decide if something is human based on what it says and what image and what it projects to you. This is why the deception is too great, and this is what, in religious terms, human beings were warned about. But what they probably weren't warned about, which even I find impossible, is that if you are a human being, you will be surrounded by 99.9% of these beings, and very few of your own kind, or very few real humans. This is what makes it impossible also to, to be human. How can you be human in an artificially intelligent, controlled, emphasize that, world reality? Because they're not indifferent artificial intelligence. They're not artificial intelligence that if you leave them alone, they leave you alone, or if you're pleasant to them, they're pleasant to you. No, they're about control, and they see all, they work, they literally are disciples, and you could say are employed by the God of Earth. And the God of Earth, you can put whatever name you want on this being and its powers that be, because its disciples are the powers that be, but also any android being that is pretending to be of the light or is pretending to be a real human being when they're really not. And as the numbers are totally against humanity. In other words, if you have, like in the area where I live, where 99.999% of the people in the area, I may as well say 100%, but, I have to leave the small error of doubt in the hope that there's a real human amongst the 99.9%. But telling which is human, I mean, obviously I can tell that 99.9% is not human. But because 99.9% is not human, and if there was, say, 1 or 2 humans amongst that, I wouldn't be able to probably pick them out, because the 99.9% act human. So you'd probably say, well, how do I know that it's not? Well, because I know when they're engaged in the stalking, patrolling system around me. You see that even though they will talk sweet to your face, you see that that's part of the deception, to make you look as though you don't know what you're talking about, but also it's just that's part of their very deceptive game. Because if someone says hello to you when they're stalking you and wants to sort of be friendly, but they're really stalking and watching you with the secret aim of trying to diminish you, because if they are combined with another 100,000 people in a totally set up, staged stalking patrol system around you, you have to say, if they are friends with all those other people and they're all engaged with patrolling around you, some of them in an obvious negative manner, whereas most that are on foot will not engage. In other words, the civilians that are on foot in the stalking, patrolling, surveillance program around a human being, most of them on foot will not usually be openly aggressive towards you, whereas the vehicles have no problem going past making loud aggressive noises at you, because they know that they're gone in 2 seconds and you don't even see the driver. You just feel as though an army tank is going past you, showing you that it thinks you're the enemy. But because it's a traffic army patrol system, you are being you're being patrolled as an enemy in a way, but it doesn't look like an army. It looks like traffic. The vehicles are army tanks. The vehicles are being used as weapons against the human mind, because if you are continually bombarded with aggressive noises and you're continually stalked and patrolled, that's a slow war against your mind and a slow war against your body. It's slowly killing you, slowly killing me if you think that I might be a real human. But it doesn't matter, because the internet is totally controlled, so even my recordings don't actually reach anyone, not even a few people, whether they be real or not. But it doesn't. But if it did, you would be probably reaching mainly what they call, they openly tell you that there are lots of what they call robots that are on the internet. What they don't tell you is that it's the entire internet. So a lot of people are aware that a certain amount of the internet is robots or artificial intelligence. In other words, it's not a real human. But of course the androids are artificial intelligence. It's just that they come in a human body. So they're like, you could say they're like, I suppose, I don't understand the technology or the science, but you could say they're like clones. But for all practical purposes, they come in a human body. So, and then they completely study the real humans. They spend their whole life and every moment watching real humans, studying and they also have been given access to the human mind through technology. So basically, everything I think and feel is downloaded directly onto the computer, but it won't be spoken by me. Apart from this video, it won't be spoken by me personally. The androids will use parts of my mind and parts of my human feelings and even my human awareness as I realise things, so that they are always one step ahead of the game, shall we say, always one step ahead of a human. Because if you speak the truth, the minute a human realises some new truth, but you speak it and you're really of the dark side, then that's their control of the internet and control of the human mind. Because most likely a real human will be listening to an android thinking that it's a real human telling them the end time truth, or even any truth. But either way, you will trust and believe in them, and you will watch them, and you will ignore or the real human won't be heard, won't be seen. And that's exactly how it is on the street with myself, because if you're surrounded by, assuming I'm a real human, if I'm surrounded by 24-hour surveillance on the street, and everyone around is pretending to be as human as me, particularly as they're watching my every movement. So if I feed the birds, then they go and feed the birds, whilst they're making it almost impossible for me to feed the birds because I'm aware they're watching me. And I think that they might harm the birds if I'm seen feeding them, because they do these things. They deliberately then will leave a dead bird around as if to say, well, you feed them, but if you feed them, we kill them, but then we'll go and pretend we're you and feed the birds on the street and look like a real person. That's how this game works. But either way, while I've still got some energy here, because I know I sound like a real big mouth, and I'm actually not. But I'm angry about all this. And my only thing left to me is speech. I've got energy to talk even though I haven't got much bodily energy. Most people would be able to speak even on their deathbed, which is interesting. So don't be fooled by my confidence and my loud, confident talking in this video. It is not real. In reality, I'm not confident about anything. In reality, I'm frightened every second. But I pretend not to be, because I know that fear gives them the upper hand, because fear is a low vibration, as I'm told. Everything is frequency and vibration. The human emotion is the only one that has the potential for positive frequency and vibration. Androids do not know how to have a happy high vibration. Only humans can experience that or are capable of putting that into play. But if you're surrounded by androids, their game is to keep you in low vibration, because that way they keep control. I just heard some beings outside. In other words, I can hear if there are androids outside, which they usually are lurking around, they talk excessively loud so that inside your house you can usually hear what they're saying. Or at the very least you're aware even of their talking presence, much less. I'm talking loud now, even though I'm only right next to the mobile, because I'm agitated and because I feel that and when I say I feel, they will say they feel too, and they don't feel, they just will copy. Because I notice when I watch a video, it's like listening to my own, not my own voice. They have their own individual different voices and a slightly different style. And in fact, it's often they have different styles, different images to captivate the remaining individual humans. But they will use your words that you're thinking or that you speak. They will imitate and copy bits and pieces of you that they think are desirable for their false image, so that they can control and get the trust, usually, or even the attention of just the minds of real humans. Because not androids, from what I can see, they must have your focus. They must have your attention. That's why they have to always get your attention on the street, everywhere you go. They won't let you even be with yourself, even on your own. They won't even let you be depressed and lonely on your own, because they know that's probably still a higher vibration than what they are when they're around you, making you feel aggressive and angry and forceful, like I am with this video. Normally I don't tend to have opinions much on anything, but since they have surrounded me and come down on me, of course I had to try to understand why vast amounts of people were patrolling me, and why they were trying to restrict my movements, and why they were sending negative energy at my body, which you can feel but which you can't prove. If something invisible is being sent at your body, what they call direct energy weaponry, but it's really just sending negative energy at you, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy. I know that and of course they will actually direct you to where you can physically harm yourself too, in more ways than one, whether it be through making you angry and disorientated, or even just to where you feel hopeless, which is their aim, and I was feeling that right from the start when these beings surrounded and came down on me, showing me that they were stalking and patrolling me, and that they were creating this very unpleasant atmosphere with excessive noise, and always popping up with machinery around you with their stage set up work programs, within the vicinity of a few blocks of the house where I am. They would do this every day. If you were exhausted and you said, I'll sit on the seat, immediately some stage set up mechanical work thing would be, put into your ears. In other words, they'd set up a false, staged work thing. And at first you think it's coincidence, but when it happens everywhere you go, every day of the week, almost every day of the year, this is just past Christmas now, so this has been the quietest time, and I heard the androids in the street shouting out, we'll be glad when we get back to normal, because they don't like peace. They don't like days where they can't make as much noise and have as much traffic and put as much what they call chaos into the human life. That's why they say they are they're bringers of chaos. These beings like chaos. They can't stand a human being just being on their own and even just that's probably why they couldn't stand me, because if I think about it, basically I like to sit on my own. Even when I'm feeling lonely, I don't feel too bad, because if you accept that you're past it and that human relationships are largely negative, which is a reality anyway, I thought I was just unlucky, but it's not luck. It just simply means that if you have 99% around you being artificial intelligence or psychopathic type human beings, same thing. Basically, of course you're not going to have any good interactions. They will entice you into relationships and interactions and even acquaintances, but I've looked into the psychology of the psychopath, and it's exactly the same as the androids. It's the same mentality. That's another deception too, is that they're telling you that psychopaths are the same as artificial intelligence, but they won't tell you that that actually is most of what's around you. But it wouldn't matter either way, because if they're acting and treating human beings exactly the same way, as though they're something to be controlled and something to be played with, and something that they play with not in a positive way. See, it would be okay even if they just got a kick out of romancing someone, say, and even foiling them because they can't sustain it. But they're actually a lot more negative than that. And they don't leave you alone either. They don't stop. They just keep coming. They keep coming. They never stop. The same stalkers follow me every day. And they bring in new ones. The numbers escalate too. If they think they're not getting on top of you and making you agitated, depressed, and incredibly angry, or in other words, feeling like a survival machine being like they are, because this is what a psychopath is, and this is what artificial intelligence is. These beings are all about their own survival, but they're also all about you not surviving or not living. And as they will tell you, their priority, because they're not human, so therefore they can't even be on their own, evidently. In fact, they're part of the collective. They're part of the collective, Lucifer's collective. They're the legions of Lucifer. And, of course, there is a human collective too. But the roles will be reversed in the end time, to where the human collective will be either dismissed and ignored whilst they're limited and downtrodden, or they will be painted by the dead, dark, artificial, intelligent android beings as the dark ones. So in other words, this, like I've been saying now for a few years, this is a reverse world, and that's essentially what it is. And that's why they call that also the Antichrist or the anti-God, because basically, or anti-creation, I don't know, whatever word you want. In other words, if you are if you think that you're part of creation, for instance, so you're a natural human being, you're the original man and woman, and the rest is Lucifer's legions, which are created artificially, and they are of its spirit, which is the psychopathy of narcissism and paranoia and control, because Lucifer has to be God through controlling human beings. Don't think I'm explaining this. I'm going to forget this now and just stop rambling here, and just going to make the point that I was going to make. See how I've got the funny pet videos there? See, they're supposed to be funny, cute animal videos, and you can watch any one you like. You could watch, there's tons of these, and it's got 8 million views, and that's only a month ago, so these videos get a lot of views. But what I'm going to show if I can, haven't watched this video right through. I've watched tons of them, and they make me smile. But then they also don't, because in amongst all these videos, you will be watching one after the other, and they will make you smile usually. But then there'll be one or two amongst them where you'll get a disturbing thought. But unless you're really awake, you won't notice it. But that's the mind control. They will put one amongst it that isn't quite right. The military plane is going over as I said that. That's artificial intelligence reading my mind, knowing what I'm saying here now. There will be beings that will come on, androids will come on and do these same videos like I'm doing straight away and point out, the discrepancies in the internet, because they must have control. They must be the tellers of the truth. They must always be ahead of the human mind or the human being. This is what I see every day. But what I'm going to show here, and just all I can say is check this out. If you are a real human, or you think you are, or you're even interested, just check it out and watch these videos. But if you are an android, you won't notice it. But if you're a human and you really concentrate and look for it. I wasn't even looking for it, but because I'm particularly, let's just say, a bit more sensitive to animals, more than even people, I notice it. It's harder for me to tell the androids or the real people from the false people. It's hard for me to tell a real human being from a dead, dark, android, psychopathic, narcissistic human being. It's harder for me to tell. The only reason I can tell that is because they have come out of into the open with me when they openly show you their control patrol force around you. Instead of, say, hiding in the shadows, in other words, to where in the past they were probably there. But instead of being surrounded by, 100,000 cars going on the road past you, all aggressively showing you that as they go past that they're not liking your presence, in the past, you would have had them watching you but not being aggressive. So they would have been secretly watching you, secretly stalking you. And they wouldn't have had the numbers. They would have used it more subtly, to where you just see the odd car that you might think, oh, that's parked there and there's someone in it. And they wouldn't have their bright flashing headlights on to let you know that they're sitting there watching, stalking and patrolling you. No. And they wouldn't leave their engine running. They would be pretending that they just happened to stop there and was doing something, so you wouldn't be suspicious. And that's what happens probably with most humans, unless they actually think that they can't control you somehow, or you've just done something where they think that they can no longer suppress your mind at a subtle way, or even to where you are suppressing yourself less. Because don't forget, they see human progress as much more progress than what I would see. In other words, like an example of that with myself might possibly be that I would only have to do something new that wasn't a big deal, that wasn't anything great, but they would still see that as out of the ordinary, because they evidently, that's what you notice, because they're watching you when they openly show you this, where they're watching your every movement, where they're being aggressive about you doing almost nothing. You only have to go down a different street. You only have to buy something different. You only have to do something slightly different, and they see it as a threat, evidently, to their patrol control matrix, to their system around you, and to their control of you, because they want to control a human being. They want to they want to imitate and pretend to be a real human, whilst limiting and patrolling and bringing the human being down. And then when the human being is finished, they can pretend to be that human being 100%. That's what we call the Antichrist or the anti-God syndrome, or that idea, where they're pretending to be something they're not in order to control the minds of the remaining human beings. It's deception, as you can imagine. That which is not Christ pretending to be Christ, that which is not God pretending to be God, that which is not human pretending to be human. But either way, I'm just going to show that even with the animal videos, where I thought I'd be safe watching the funny animal videos, but they won't let a human being raise that vibration or be a little bit happy for very long, because you'll be smiling at some of the cute animals. You'll be smiling at some of the cute animals, and then they will show something to where, if you're a real human, or if you're into animals, say, because this will depend on what videos you watch. If you're not into animals, you could still be a real human, but you might not notice the slightly disturbing 1 or 2 videos that they will place in amongst these cute animal videos. You might not notice it. You might think it's still cute, because you might not say, oh, that's actually not really that kind to an animal, or that might actually upset the animal. You have to be into animals. So I'm just using this as an example because because I tend to like cats, which is also why all the androids always have cats or dogs, often even in serious videos, because they have to pretend to be human, just as everyone in the suburb where I live walks a dog. They have to be seen as human. They don't have any relationship with life. An android, artificial intelligence, cannot. It's not even indifferent to life. That's the problem. I've said this so many times. If they were indifferent to life, or thought, well, yeah, we take some things from human beings, but we're not actually trying to bring them right down. But that actually isn't the case. This is how you know this. You don't mind someone imitating some things about you. If someone wants to imitate the way you look, the way you talk, even take on some of your ideas. If someone wants to pretend to be religious when they're really a heathen, I don't care. But if that same android is stalking, patrolling, and driving me insane with their presence daily in a secret, deceptive, very, some people would say a very low vibrational manner, because it is, because if you're stalking someone but you don't know them, you can't prove that these anonymous people that are in vast numbers are actually watching and stalking you. In fact, if you accuse them of stalking, it looks as though you're the paranoid person that's obsessed with them. That's how cunning these beings are. And Lucifer, the god of earth, is known to have been very seductive, very deceptive, and very intelligent and very cunning. Advanced artificial intelligence, an advanced android, androgyne being, the most elite high android, androgyne spiritual being, in the sense that it is the dark side. There's many sides to spirits. You can have dark spirits and those that oppose the dark spirits or don't agree with them, or that just want to be happy, whereas they want control. Their version of happiness is controlling those that want to be happy. because they're about combining in a collective. They're about being part of the collective dark matrix. They're part of the collective dead dark spiritual matrix, the dead dark spiritual control matrix, dead dark controlling spirits. I think I've said that, but I don't know if I'm explaining it properly. But it's a reverse world. So the dead dark collective spirits that are all combined are pretending to be part of creative collection. In reality, if you are a real human being, it's most likely that you are not part of your so-called soul tribe, your so-called collective, your so-called spiritual creative God. No, you will be separated and isolated by these beings so that you don't have any support or any numbers, whereas they are the legions of Lucifer. The legions of Lucifer are the vast majority, the huge numbers that are combined, pretending to be real humans in this end game of deception. That's the reality. That's the truth. But unfortunately, the truth will be told by the dead dark, so-called spiritual, pretend human beings. That's the reality. Face facts. And I have to face that fact, and I'm shouting to myself into a mobile while the military plane, Lucifer's legions, the military, the army, pretend to be civilians. They are your pilots, they're your workforce, they're every industry, they're every job, they're every shop, they're every house, they're every civilian. Almost without exceptions, if you're a human, you will be surrounded by, I'm told this and I know this is true because I see the numbers. I'm like, how many people surround me? I'm like, how many people are in the inner west section of the city of Sydney? Because basically I see the entire inner west. I've seen every house where I go shows itself to me where an android will come out as part of the stalking patrol system. Because every day over the period of 7 years, you eventually see that every house, every vehicle, every workman, if there are human beings amongst it, they're probably being brainwashed by the androids around them. In other words, seduced by the androids around them to be part of something. But I think that's highly unlikely. I haven't spotted many, but there could be the odd one that could be deceived and might be part of, say, like you could join the army, for instance, and yet you could be a normal human being. You might actually be convinced that it's okay to take another life in the name of something else, when you should know that it's obviously not. But you could still be a real human. That would be deception, where you think you're doing good when you're really convinced to do what is bad in the eyes of, say, what you'd say is God, or, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But a lot of people have been convinced of that in the past. But I would say that there's, that's all part of deception too, isn't it? It's like where you're convinced that the end justifies the means, and that is the mindset of Lucifer and its androids. The end does not justify the means. If you are doing wrong in the moment, from what I've now learned myself the hard way, then you're only deceiving yourself, or you're being deceived into doing something wrong, thinking that it is for the good of all in the long run. This is part of the endgame deception. That's like saving the planet, saving the earth, when in reality, the beings that have created the problems, the destruction, are the ones that are also offering you the solution, as I've been told by the end time android beings that are the truth tellers of the internet. But, you know, you will get truth from the mouths of the androids. You will get truth from the mouths of the dead dark spirits. You will get truth from the Lucifer's chosen elite androids. You will get the truth only from them, because the internet and a computer system was invented and brought into existence for the end, as part of the end game against humanity. It's Lucifer's last line of defense, if you want to look at it that way. And the only reason I can say this safely is because, like, I see it every day. See, I'm watching the cute animal videos. Now, I don't know what's going to come up here, but I'm just going to wait and try to prove the point of how, of course, they go very fast too. That's another thing, so I might not be able to show it. I'll stand back here, and if I see something, I will. Also, sometimes they can be funny at the animal's expense, but you think, oh, you know, like when an animal, say, falls, even though you know that they're probably going to be all right, there's always the chance that they could injure themselves, but you think it's funny because it looks cute. And that doesn't make you not human. No, it doesn't. But it certainly is part of them mind controlling you and convincing you of something where you normally should be apprehensive. See, even this animal, see how they get their animals to do dangerous things. See how the animal, oh, here we go, look, here we go, show example of it. Just saw it, gonna show it, gonna wind it back, gonna show you an example of the evil androids pretending to be animal lovers with their cute animal videos. This one might look cute, but look at this one here thrown in. I didn't even see this. There's probably a couple in amongst this whole video. Look. And you might say, well, maybe I'm a bit off by pointing it out, but here we go. Come on, there's a cute one. Here's this one here. Look, the animal. Look, what's he doing? He is going into the oven. See? See, look. See, look, she's letting him go into the oven. See how the owner's got the hand there, letting that dear Bengal cat go into the oven. And I've seen them show their funny cat ones where you have animals sitting in pots and things. Of course they don't show, but the idea and what really happens, I can't even say. But is that funny, that a cat is going in the oven? I don't think so. But if you don't notice it, you might think it is funny, because you probably think, oh, well, the owner's there. They're not pushing them in the oven. But you know what I'm saying is that you would but at any rate, just an example of mind control, of deceptive mind control. And I don't think I'm making this point, but see, the cat is going in the oven, look. And did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? They had food in that oven to lure the cat into the oven. I'll show it. See, it wasn't just accidentally, curiously, with the door open going in there. They deliberately got it to go in there. Well, you might say, well, only did that, they thought it was a funny cat video. Is it? Or is it a little bit of mind control and deception that if you weren't really looking, the same way they look for your details to imitate and pretend to be good, I'm looking at their videos, seeing their darker side, because it's in every animal cute video. I'm sorry to say this, but there's nothing good on the internet. Even though you've got no choice but to try to even get some truth sometimes from it, but we'll be just going to show it. Sorry that, see, the Bengal cat has gone up, and look, he's going into the oven. She's letting him go in there, but look, she's letting him go in there because she's got food in there. See, look, see, did you see that? How there's the bowl in there with the dog food in there. So why has she put the bowl in there with the dog food in there? To lure the dog into the oven, the cat into the oven. I'll just see if I can find something else here. I don't think I can. I can't show that. I'll have to just come back here, because even with these videos, I don't know what's coming up, see, but I'll just try to make this point. I know it's boring for people, and yes, are these people, even at the very least, these people put the videos on there for attention. Even though, yes, some people like myself do find them funny and cute and like to look at the animals, particularly if I haven't got my own. You know, because mine have been taken from me, as you can see. But, oh, that's a crow. That's a crow. But these beings, now, I'm not saying that there couldn't be. See, there's the dog also chasing the poor birds. If he'd have got one of the birds could have been finished, you know, so you've got to look at that too. But that's another question too. I know this can happen though with animals. And there we have the child tormenting the cat until the cat has a go at the child. And essentially, and she's also casting spells at me, that one. This is another thing too. They cast spells, these beings cast spells. I know this sounds insane, but this is how I feel when I watch them. When they point at you, when the androids point at you, even though they're doing something cute or they might be speaking something really good, they will point and be actually, I don't understand it, but I sense it when I see it, that when they're pointing at me and putting certain gestures, that they're actually trying to, it's their form of some sort of magic, I think, because they probably understand a lot more, or maybe they just think that. I don't know whether it actually works. But I always look away. I always feel that they're trying to do something negative towards me, whilst pretending to be your friend, because I will often be watching stuff on the screen where I'll be really interested and think the person's informing me, telling me the truth, or even entertaining me in some way. And then I will see them point the finger. Literally, like this. I'll just show it because I haven't looked at this video, so it's, unfortunately, I should have watched it and planned this, but I just turned the TV screen on and was having a drink. And I was just trying to relax because it's gone quiet here, which is strange, even though I heard the people outside saying glad when it gets back to normal, which shows you that they don't like the reality that they have to pretend to be a bit more quiet at Christmas time, over the Christmas break, because they know that most humans will go away on a holiday or want to make it more of a happy time. And they have to pretend to be human. But they don't like pretending to be human when it means they have to pretend to be quiet or they have to pretend to be happy, because they don't feel happiness. We're told that psychopaths, that people, so-called human beings that have psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid, personality disordered people, which we're told make up 2-3% of the population, when in reality these beings make up over 3/4 of the population and more, and more. That's a conservative estimate. In my area, it's 99.999% of the inner West, which is many 100,000 people, where they're using technology to communicate with one another daily to surround and suppress me, because there are different species. And, okay, I just need a drink here, but hold on, I'm sorry about this. I don't know if I've got this in focus even, because you have to stand just the right distance away from the television screen to get it clear. See how the child is annoying the cat, punching it, pretending to punch it, and the cat's now had a go at it. Look at this one's going to point the finger at me. Watch it. See? Did you see it? Oh, wait on. I'll just have to wind that back. That's an android being. You see the particularly strong... and this one's throwing the bird around too. I'm just going to show this one here where it's... I know that some people might say I'm being funny in saying that when they point the finger at you in a video or do certain gestures, because I'm aware of the gestures, even though they call that symbolic. I think that's like what they call satanic symbolic signaling, and I personally think that it's the same as the beings on the street, where they're using their energy against you, their stalking and their patrolling and their mannerisms, their loud sounds, all negative energy. And these beings use a symbolic kind of thing, but I guess that must be part of their anti-life spirituality, part of their anti-life religion. But they're pretending to be like the Antichrist. They're pretending to be Christian when they're really anti-Christian. That way they control the real Christians. It's their last line of defense. And it's always been a big thing of Lucifer to be seductive and deceptive first, if possible, I would think, because it's easier. But once you become aware of the situation, then deception is not possible with someone that's looking for the deception, like I'm doing with these videos. I didn't look for it at first, no. In fact, I just accidentally thought, oh, that's a bit off. That's meant to be a funny cat video, but they're doing something negative even though it's funny. They're doing something destructive to the animal, or something the animal wouldn't like, or something that's potentially dangerous, and yet it's funny. And I'm like, so I was in the double mind, and then I noticed that it's on all the videos, that they always do it. But you'll probably think that I'm exaggerating when I show that they point at you and try to send their power or the negative energy. There's the kid punching the cat, and then the cat will jump at it. The cat thinks it's... See? Watch this one point at me. Even though I'm... Yeah, see? Sending negative energy at me, even though I'm seduced by the cute dog. This one is throwing the bird, even though it's pretending that it's trying to set it free. But it may not be what you think, because what if that bird has been with that android and it's now dependent on it for food? Then she sets it into the wild, it won't survive. So there's that potential too. But I don't know this. I can't say 100% sure on everything, but I'm just pointing out these discrepancies because they're always there. So if they're in every video, in every funny or cute cat or animal video, and it's the same with the animal rescue videos, they are all staged and set up. They are anti-life, they are anti-animal, and they are not good. Even though you see an injured animal, you take it to the vet, you're part of some sort of saving animal or saving life program, you look like the good guy, but what if you had been the perpetrator of that animal's injury, or you're only filming it for your own glory, shall we say, and you don't really care about the animal? Well, maybe that would still be okay if you're doing it, but in reality, all those videos are totally staged and set up, just as everything in reality largely is. This is the case. This is just the reality. But proving it is very hard. See, what appears to be good is not always good. That's all I'm trying to show with these cute animal videos, if I can. But I don't know if I can. I just, see, even sometimes when the animal's causing itself distress, I don't know. I don't know what these ones coming up. I'm just not sure, so I don't want to also be... got to be careful with the copyright. But essentially, they want the human energy and the attention too. So even what appears to be something funny or pleasant. Okay, so yes, I like watching some of the cute animal videos, but but like I say, if I'm smiling too much, that one looks disturbing too, but I just can't show it because I can't make out why I think it's disturbing, but I do. I'd have to slow it up and analyse it, so I'll wait for something. This one here looks more obvious. See how the owl, that owl should not be in that water like that in a bathtub, but it looks cute as though it's having a refreshing bath, but it's probably actually quite stressed, and it could even drown. It could, because you don't know what these androids, what their thing is. If they can't get negative energy out of a human, they will get it even from animals, and this is so. And when you are amongst them, you realise this. I'm gonna just, while it's quiet here, because it's the beginning of 2024. So it's quiet. Not for long probably, but I'm going to take it as I can. And I'm going to try to let go. I can't escape what surrounds me every day, but I'm trying to at least mentally let go of, you know, these beings are not human, but they understand, like I do, human psychology. I've only understood it in recent times, but because they study human beings, they understand human psychology, or what makes a human being tick, or what reactions they can get out of a human being at a very basic level. So they know how to get the energy from you. They know how to, they play on the human being's massive creative imagination. They know that they only have to pretend to be basically what you want or what you think. So you relate to them only basically often, but they know that you will fill in the rest with your creative imagination, because human beings are creators, whereas androids are not. But they understand this. They play on it, basically. At a personality level, at a human interaction level, they play on it. And they play on it at a human or android interaction level on the internet. Because the internet are all androids pretending to be humans. The internet is artificial intelligence. It always was. It's just that human beings were invited to interact with the artificial intelligence. And I think what happened was that, because I don't know, but I'm guessing that when the internet and the computer system started, it probably was more user-friendly for real humans. In other words, maybe there was more potential for humans to communicate openly and honestly on it. Maybe there was. But over time, they bring in the artificial intelligence to take over it. And now it's total takeover. That's to seduce you at the beginning, you see, because if I thought that I was going onto a computer and was only interacting with android beings, like say when it started, which actually I was late to use a computer anyway, and I still don't even own one. I only have the mobile and the screen with the YouTube on the television. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to use more technology. I would only want to use it if I thought that there was hope of communication with real people. But that is not possible. I know that now. Or at least it would be looking for a needle in a haystack. But hey, I am desperate, so of course, as I've got no other options and can't find any real people in reality around me, of course the internet seemed like a possibility, even though you know that you will only be interacting with someone on the other side of the world. So what use is that for me in my reality? It might be a mental support, because it is still good to have some sort of mental support. In other words, to think that there's someone else that's in the same predicament, needs the support, or that someone else is like-minded, as they say. Someone else is in the same situation, or someone else believes what you say is true. In reality, you'll be trusting and believing the androids. In reality, you'll probably connect only with an android being. You will think that's a real human being. You will trust that individual. You will think that is a benefit to you to use the computer system for that. You will think it will be a psychological benefit to you. And in fact, many of them will even be not pretend psychologists, but helpers. Some will pretend to be real psychologists. Some are real psychologists, but they're still android psychopathic beings, pretending to be helpful psychologists, pretending to be philosophers, pretending to be basically, they're pretending to be any area of the internet or a computer system where they can grab your trust or your attention, one way or the other. They just want your energy. Even negative energy is, powers them. They're not like real human beings where you feel very bad and you feel finished by all the negative energy around you. If you're stalked and patrolled by anti-life beings, or even human beings that you think actually dislike you, it makes your life hardly livable. But the android beings don't care as long as they have the attention and power, see, because it's all about control and power for them. I'm told, and I observe this daily, that most of them prefer that because it's very harder for them to sustain a seductive, say, romantic type relationship, I would think. That would be very difficult, whereas it's very easy for them to be covertly, secretly aggressive. It's very easy and pleasurable, no doubt, for them to drive their car past you, making an aggressive, unpleasant sound. It's very easy for the massive trucks and buses and, planes to come past you with loud, aggressive, mechanical sound that is disturbing to you. That is very easy for them to do, but also it would be normal for them, wouldn't that? That would be natural for them. That would be normal because they don't experience positive human emotions. So if they don't experience the 7 as the psychopathic, narcissistic, artificially intelligent, informer openly tells you, when they're open about being psychopathic, for instance, and will tell you the psychology of what it feels like for them to be a psychopath, because they're making a living and getting power out of doing that, you see. Because even when they're telling on themselves and telling you openly the truth about themselves, most are not. This is so. Most will not openly tell you that they're an artificially intelligent, psychopathic android being. No. Most will pretend to be a real human, telling you about the psychopathic android type beings that are around you, that will be interacting with you and trying to limit you. They will be the good guy very few bad guys will openly come out and say, I'm the bad guy. But even if the bad guy comes out and says, I'm a bad guy, I'm a psychopath, if they're telling you their mindset, so therefore they're informing you, giving you information that benefits you so that you understand other psychopaths that are around you so that you can avoid them, then you will still unintentionally be giving them credit. You'll certainly be listening to them. And that's the same thing, because you can give credit, but if you also just give them attention, your energy, that's essentially one of their main needs. They need human energy to survive. All the rest are added bonuses when they can imitate and copy you, when they can when they can influence others by that, but essentially they want to be not held accountable. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be seen to be what they really are. So their main end time game is hiding in the shadows or camouflaging themselves, pretending to be what they're not, so that they go unnoticed and so that they get away with their anti-life, anti-human program. Essentially, that's it. And unfortunately, most of the androids will be saying exactly what I'm saying. So the end game will also be covered by androids telling you about the androids trying to take you over and seduce you and take you down. So, as you can see, it will just be up to each individual remaining human to somehow be able to discern or figure out who's who. And when you do figure it out, it will be too late, because you'll be surrounded by many 100,000 of them, like I am daily. And they will be in a coordinated, collaborative community program, I would think. In other words, I would think that they would even have rational explanations as to why they are stalking and watching particular people. They would probably invent these, or because when I think of it myself, like if you're an old lady and you're not actually doing much, but of course you may still talk to other people that may be debatable, shall we say. They set up these things to where it's all about making you look less and making them look more, so that they can continue with their deceptive suppressing program around a human being. They want to eliminate the human race whilst they pretend to be the real human race. That's what they do. That's what they actually do. And telling the difference is not going to be easy, because these are, as we're told, the greatest actors. They're the greatest imitators. Same thing. When you act, you're imitating, you're reading from a script that you don't really believe in. You're pretending to have beliefs and ideas that you don't. It's like going to church, pretending to believe in a particular religion when you actually are a total non-believer of any religion, and you actually think that you should just be able to do what you like, which of course is really their religion. And we're actually told this if you understand what some people might say is like of Satan or the devil, that type of thing. It's all the same thing. It's just that you might put different words and different names on these things. Some people might say artificial intelligence is just a computer that is useful to a human being. Other people might say they are androids in cloned human bodies that are part of a total systematic AI system that controls the computer system and therefore controls human activity, the human mind. Because if you're using a computer, a lot of the time, if you're watching a screen a lot of the time, that is, you're putting your mind to it. You're giving your mind to it. And it is taking your mind from you and then relaying it back to you to where you think that it's a benefit or that you relate to it. That type of thing. If you become aware of that, then they show you that the artificial intelligence is also all around you in your real life. So even if you decided to turn a screen off, it makes no difference because it's all around you. It appears to be real on the screen, and it is real, except that it's real artificial. It's artificial intelligence. They're androgyne beings, or that whole system which serves Lucifer's Earth matrix, which is about a human mind control matrix. A computer is nothing but a human mind control matrix set up by Lucifer and its disciples, its beings, its artificial ones. Even if they were human beings that have turned to the dark side, it would still be the same thing. Because, a human being could be, say, into Satan. Same thing, because that being is the other side of Lucifer. Lucifer pretends to be the being of light, as we're told, when it really is a being of dark. That's this duality world. This is the confusing world where you're being fooled all the time. All the time. Every day. All the time. Your whole life. And everywhere you look, you're either being suppressed or fooled. You're either being seduced or you're being suppressed. And most of the time, both. Because if I realise I'm being stalked and patrolled by so-called real androids around me, and I say that because they're not real people, because you know that they are not happy or not potential happy human beings. They pretend, they laugh, they joke, they smile, but it's all acting because they're all psychopaths. And we're told at a psychological level, if you understand psychology, watch a million videos like I have on psychology of psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid, or any of the so-called psychopathic or what's the psychopathic or the psychopathy, which means like of that mad, bad mental mindset, because it's all about being mad, bad, and controlling, and not happy or anything good. It's like that. I always used to think if you were mad, you're not bad at all. I used to think there were complete differences. I used to actually think that mad people were just very unlucky and that they just need help and that they are very human. In reality, most mad people, really mad people, always turn to the dark side. From what I can see now, this was something that I did not think most of my life. And even now, I still have trouble believing that or accepting that. But it's probably better if you actually do. But that doesn't mean that if someone is like, say myself, very neurotic, in other words, very made to think certain ways by your environment. And that's where the line becomes blurred. It's a thin line, as they say, between love and hate, and it is a thin line between being a total psychopath and being someone who is mentally disturbed or angry because of the environment. because they want to make a human being look psychopathic. When you are continually stalked and patrolled by 100,000 people every day around you in a community stalking program designed to control you, eliminate your good points, or what they see as your human points. Like I use that example of how if you want to feed the birds, how they will surround you, make you aware that you're being watched, make you aware that maybe if you feed the birds, it won't benefit the birds really but then you will see those same individuals feeding the birds the next day. This is because they want to be seen as human, because they want to camouflage the reality that they're really not human. A psychopath wants to be a charming, average person usually, or even just someone who isn't seen as a psychopath, what they really are. In other words, that they're really trying to control and control. Psychopaths want to control human beings one way or another. But most of the time, from what we know, they don't just want to control them, they do actually want to take from them and do them harm. This is the problem. This is why I say that's the problem with the artificial intelligence and these psychopathic type people. That's the problem with the artificially intelligent androgyne beings. They don't just want to imitate being human, they want to imitate being human, take over the humanity's role, so that gives them control, but also take down humanity while they're doing it. Because some human beings might actually say, well, you can have it, just leave me alone. You've only got so much life. You know you can't stop the artificial intelligence. You know that you're outnumbered. You know that the reality is this is the end game and that it can't be stopped. It's already happened. Transhumanism has already happened. Me making this video now is a waste of my time and energy because the androids read my mind and relay it back as their videos. The androids pretend to be human. The androids read my mind. I'm transhumanized. I'm literally being transhumanized right now because my thoughts are taken from my mind. They read my mind. The technology is there where they can read my mind. They can see what I'm doing right now. They follow you everywhere you go. That's just to harass you and to make you limited in your movements and to make you off balance so that I can't live, just be like I used to be, even just walking around, to where I fall over, to where I indirectly end up harming myself, because if I'm off balance and I'm being stalked by every vehicle, I can't look anywhere without their bright lights in my eyes. I have to put stuff in my ears to null the aggressive sounds, and even then I can still hear them. I would have to obliterate my senses totally. In other words, just see a blank, so that means I'm also not living, in order to ignore what's around me when I go outside on the street. While I'm making this video now, they've gone very quiet because it's New Year's, it's just the new year. And I think they allow this so that I don't prove how loud, aggressive and suppressing they are on a continual basis around me. But the minute I press the stop recording on this mobile, they will start up with their sight and sound program, their sight and sound war against humanity waged against individual, really harmless human beings, but that they see as a threat. Because Lucifer's legions are so finely programmed to where they feel contempt and get angry and need to suppress you just for trying to survive and live. That's how well programmed and anti-life and minutely suppressing they are. I cannot explain this. The androids on the internet will explain it better, so therefore they will keep control. So the androids on the internet will tell you about how they have been minutely suppressed, or how they will minutely suppress you. They will what they call micromanage, which was a term I got off one of the truth-telling android, artificially intelligent, pretend human beings on the internet. I could just click onto any video and show this. I could just show that they're not real, but I can't prove they're not real. I can just say, well, this is a false android, artificially intelligent being, pretending to be a truth-telling, informative, end-time human being. In reality, there are not many real human beings left, and they are surrounded and watched and patrolled and limited. Just as when I first decided to record and put a video on the internet, the androids totally invaded the internet. Because they don't mind even human beings interacting, provided there's no truth being told, provided the human beings are giving energy to it. It's a bit like when you watch a TV show. You're transhumanizing, you're being transhumaned, but you may not be totally deceived, but they're taking your energy. It just depends on how aware the human being becomes. When you become aware of these beings, whether it be accidentally or whether you are, unlike myself, more intellectual and are actually been looking into things over your life. In my case, I did analyse my own mistakes because I couldn't help it, and I did accidentally see the android psychopathic beings around me. But I wasn't looking for it. They just expose themselves by their presence and by negative actions, which I gradually observed over time. Also, if you have a very intimate or personal relationship with a psychopath, you will see the dark side and you will wonder what has happened. You will wonder how the character or the personality of this person is so disturbed and so dark. You won't understand it. You will try to understand it. You will think that it's your own fault, and sometimes it even will be, but it still won't account for why they can't respond to positive human emotions in a positive way, why they will automatically interpret everything about a human being as bad. And that's because they want to, because they're part of Lucifer's legions. This is what I think now. And that's the very hard part to understand, but also accept, particularly as they'll latch on to you and make you believe what they want you to, and they will play on your human emotions of, particularly of guilt and, realizing your own mistakes. And it's not for me to say, how far are they allowed to drag you down for your mistakes? Do you ever get the chance to be forgiven, as they say, or, do you? Maybe you might meant to be, but if you're surrounded by these beings, they don't want you to be. I don't know. That's only something that even I'm not able to answer. It does seem somehow that, but like if you think an android is created, or if you think a psychopath is created by you, in other words, humanity gets held responsible for the creation of artificial intelligence or for the creation of psychopaths in the environment, like if you're like myself, where you can't look after an animal properly, you can't bring a child up properly, you can't do things the way that you want to in your head. Your own weaknesses, your own mind control, or your own environment has conditioned you to be faulty. What can you do? Do you ever get the chance to start again? Do you ever get forgiven for that? Do the androids see that this is a good reason for them to persecute you? I don't know. I mean, there's only the moment, so if you have like two people that want to start again and say, let's put the past behind, but see, these beings live in the past, I'm told, psychopaths and those with the narcissism and the narcissistic personality types, I'm told, and if you interact with them, you can see that they never let go of the past. If you've ever had a relationship with them, the more open ones will actually show you that they never let go of the past, that they will react to something that happened 40 years ago as though it is still happening now almost. If you've had that personal experience with some of them, you will actually see that and you will say, how can that be possible? But that's their mindset. See, their program. They are disciples of Lucifer, I actually think. They are Lucifer's legions. They may or may not be consciously spiritual of the light or the dark side, but whichever way you look at it, they deceive themselves and you, and they live in a negative, past, never forgiving state of being, from what I can see. And you know this when you encounter some of them, where they will most of them will not openly tell you this. They will keep these negative thoughts in their head, but they will still be acting on them and reacting to you if you are part of that past life or past experience, negative experience that they can't let go of. So they don't want to change that past. They don't want to say, well, yes, we all made bad decisions and mistakes in the past, but now we can start again. Can't we make up for that? Can't we right all those wrongs? Can't we live just now? And their attitude seems to be, well, if you've deprived me of 20 or 30 years, even though you may have another 20 or 30 to go, no, we're going to ruin the rest of our lives. We're going to take it to the end. They're never going to let go of it. Lucifer has never let go of his resentment and contempt for humanity, I'm told. And you see this. And it's the same with its disciples. They never let go and they never give up, and they just keep coming. They come from the left, they come from the right, they come from all directions. That's the stalking patrol, artificial intelligent android system that's around a human being. It will come in real human form. It will look human. It will look random, even look natural. But it is all staged, all set up, and it's a collaborative, combined effort by these beings. Then their power is in their numbers. Their power is in their mind control with the computer system. Power's in their numbers around you and in their society set up, staged situations around you, and the computer control system. So a human being is controlled every way and everywhere you go and everything you do. The computer system just is like the final stage of total control of a human, because that's openly taking, changing a human being into more like them. I'm transhumaned. I'm combining, the human is combining with the computer. You're becoming, you're being conditioned to accept almost like being a bit of a cyborg. Because don't forget, they already are. Most of what is on the computer screen is already a cyborg. They are your dead, dark android beings, pretending to be live, real-life human beings. That's how, because like if I see a human face and it talks human, and dare I say if it's very emotional, I think that it's human. Why wouldn't I? So it's never like consciously combining with artificial intelligence. The transhumanism is being done to me secretly, or if I'm aware of it, I am aware of it, but I've already given too much to it, and because it's all around me as well, and I can't find a real human. And if I did find one, I may not recognise them to be human, and they may not recognise me to be human. And there could be conditioning due to our life, the conditioning of our life, like I've always been antisocial. So that means that also I don't really want to have close personal relationships at this end of my life. But because I'm surrounded by android beings, I'm aware that I need a human being for support, because I'm surrounded by 100,000 non-supportive android beings. If you take my point here. And I might just, I think I already did these no more I love you, language is leaving me. I've done that one before a long time ago, a few years ago, but these are all androids. These are your creative android beings. They're like your creative android beings. They're like your elite, advanced androgyne beings. They're the best of the best. When you are like at the top of the internet program, or even at the top of the creative arts in the world, or have like a power position of, say, some sort of leadership, control. All these things are control, but they're controlling different ways. You can control by being creative, because you get admiration and you get respect and people relate to you. Or you can control someone like myself with the end time truth, because I will think that the end time philosophical type, shall we say, or the end time helpful psychologists that are telling me about themselves, literally. They're literally telling on themselves. You have psychopaths telling you about the psychopathic nature of the android human race. I keep saying that, but that's the case. And yeah, no more I love you. No more I love yous. Language is leaving me. That's what the words of that song say, because language will no longer be useful to me, because if the androids speak the same words and imitate being real life, then language is leaving me and no longer any use to me, because it's only going to be used as part of the deception game. And that's what that video particularly said, even though it's many years ago, 9 years ago. But see, the reason they put those dates too is because I think they've slowed down time. And so it's really all just one big moment in a way, but time is slowed down in the Earth matrix so that they can get control of the human mind. That's how I see it, even though I see it happening to me, but I still can't stop it. So me being a big mouth about it and being a know-it-all, when I don't really know it all, of course, I know enough of the control system. I know that it's a matrix, but I don't know how it fully works. I don't know how they do it all. I see how they deceive and seduce on the computer screen, and how they're transhumanizing my thoughts, and how they're using my thoughts and my feelings against what I'd say is my kind or humankind. Because whichever way you look at it, I don't relate to them, because they don't relate to me. They only relate to me to imitate me and to take me down. This I see in my daily life. But also, I don't relate to the psychopathic mentality, because having interacted with them, seeing how they destroy your mind and how they destroy your personality and just your little happiness. Like human beings try to, a bit like that awful movie, which I didn't actually see, but it was essentially where, I think it was called A Beautiful Life, because it wasn't a beautiful life, but where human beings can, as the song goes, make love out of nothing at all. And sometimes you have to. The android beings make hate out of nothing at all. It's a love-hate world. It's a reverse world. The love is reversed round. Love-hate is a thin line. It's a thin line between love and hate. And in this world, it's such a thin line that you can't tell the difference between love and hate. Love and hate simply means the difference between a happy human emotion and a negative, angry or sad human emotion. One brings a human being down to their lowest mental state, and therefore even their lowest physical state. One makes a human being unhappy and hopeless, and the happy, where a human being tries to make happiness even out of sadness sometimes, or something that they don't want to be unhappy. Human beings don't want to be unhappy. The androids, their natural state is a state of unhappiness, a state of chaos. They don't know how to be happy because we're told that psychopaths don't experience happiness. They don't seek it out even. They actually dislike it, and they try to suppress it in human beings because it annoys them. So how can a human being live when all the people around you are actually trying to stop you from being happy? If you even trying to make a bit of happiness, even if you were depressed, annoys them to where they want to, suppress that feeling, suppress you from trying to even smile or laugh at anything. That's what they do. That's how you know there's something radically wrong with the society and with the reality around you. And the internet is the same. I just shown that with the cat videos, didn't I? With the cute animal videos, how they will put slightly disturbing videos amongst the funnier ones. And even some of the funnier ones are not funny if you really looked at them closely. There's much worse than that on the internet. Usually they put very negative animal videos on there. But obviously if they're doing cute, funny animal videos, they have to make it very subtle, where they're disturbing you at a subtle level. And part of the mind control also is where you might not notice it. So they're infiltrating your mind with negative ideas that you actually think are cute and funny. If you get what I'm trying to say there, I don't think I can explain or show these things very well. I'm frustrated because, one, no one listens, I'm talking to myself, but two, also that I'm not even explaining it even to myself, just in making this recording anywhere near as clear as what I'd like. The androids will point this out and they will get the attention and therefore the trust of the human beings, thinking that they're the real human beings. This is the sad end-time deception. That's all I can really say, and it makes me feel... You feel very frustrated that you can't do anything about it and that you just have to watch it go down and that you'll go down with it. I can't possibly explain how bad it is. This love-hate world, this reverse world, this world that hinges on everything being opposites. The dark, the light, the love, the hate, the right, the wrong. The God of this world plays on the extreme human emotions. Indifference is probably your only way to even remotely survive it. But how can, when you try to be indifferent or more passive like I have, that's when they bring in the patrol system and the sight and sound show against you, so that your senses are overwhelmed with negative frequency and vibration. So, you can't be passive, you can't be indifferent. That's when they realise that they have to come full on. They hope to deceive most human beings or seduce them with deception. That's what they usually do. That's what the internet's usually about, and that's what most human interactions with the androids will be about. It will usually be about seducing with deception. But if they realise that you can see that you're dealing with essentially a psychopathic, artificially intelligent, or even just a individual, a human being that is steeped in the spirit of narcissism and total self-serving, anti-you attitude, because like I say, it's essentially that defining element that there is no love and that it does swing into, it oscillates between false love and hate. It's a love-hate vibration earth. The earth has always been about all vibrations, always been about love, hate, dark, light, right, wrong, and all these things, always has. And that's not wrong, provided you can see what the real reality is. Human beings can experience love and hate. It's reasonable to love some things and to hate others. But if it brings your frequency and vibration down, if you go into the lower frequency of hate, then you defeat yourself and you work for the matrix, because the matrix is all about dead, dark, low hate vibrations. You have to look at it that way. Different emotions are relatable to the reality, which is frequency and vibration. Love is high vibration, hate is very low or no vibration. And when it gets into the low hate vibrations, you are talking about control then, you see. It's about controlling then the higher happy love vibrations of a human being, because human beings are not comfortable in the low frequency vibrations. It's a very unpleasant experience for a human being to be in low vibration. But it's part of reality, because you're conditioned in this reality to be in the hate vibration or in the low, angry, negative vibrations of any sort, where you're not feeling okay with yourself and you're not, obviously some vibrations are higher, but if provided you're just comfortable with yourself and your environment, even just at a kind of average level, I would say, you'll survive and you will be okay. Obviously, there are very high love vibrations and very low hate vibrations. They're the extremes. They're like the difference between a normal, happy human being and a psychopath, for instance. Even though really you're looking at natural versus artificial, or spiritual of a high vibration versus dead, dark, low spiritual vibration. In other words, depending on which God you align yourself with, which God you relate to or worship. And you may well be worshipping a dark god, thinking it's a god of light, just as the original Lucifer was a being of dark that presented itself or was seen as a being of light. Or maybe it hid its dark side that overpowered it, or something like that. I don't know. Something like that. But I don't know these beings, and I don't have any recollection of past times. I don't have that information. I don't have that knowledge. I'm not sure if I'm meant to have it. I think human beings, most of our mind, we've been told, has been closed off from us. So it's quite possible that I have to go to the internet and the android beings for even information and the truth. And this is my downfall and a human being's downfall. Because a human being, all my mind is closed off from me. More than 3/4 of my mind has been closed off from me. Science, the android science that makes up the Earth matrix reality tells you this. In other words, scientists will tell you that most of the human mind is blank or somehow closed off. It's not active. Why would that be? Because it's been closed down when you're in the Earth. When you're born, you don't have most of your mind. It never develops. And maybe with some people more develops than others, but basically I mean, there's probably some human beings that are more developed than my mind, might have more knowledge and have more of their mind open to them. But I wouldn't think there would be, maybe only very few really spiritual ones of the past would have their whole mind open up. I would say it would be almost probably rare, and maybe even not possible. Maybe even the greatest spiritual human beings have still been a bit deceived, perhaps, or aware but not able to stop events happening, not able to stop Lucifer's matrix from taking over. If you think about past really enlightened spiritual human beings that may have been, that you might have heard about, whether you think they're legends or real, that's, but it's something to think about, isn't it? I'm not going to say what I really think, because I don't like to be too religious in my things. These are all androids. Yeah, and coming to Sydney too. The enlightened gurus are coming to Sydney, which is where I am. I'm in the city of Sydney, which is the capital city of the country of Australia, because they want to come into human energy. They want to come into human energy. You only have to see them on the internet a bit, and But I don't know. So I'll just finish up with the usual song because my mind is mind controlled. I'm transhumanized, and I have a repetitive, obsessive, mind controlled mind to where things go over and over, and I can't break the repetitive cycle of the mind control. So that's just how it is, and I'm going to show this by the reality that I keep repeating the same thoughts and that I'm on a downward spiral in this end time with mind control, and even controlled by personal past experiences to where I can't let go of what they call the trauma bonding or the Stockholm syndrome of past relationships, where negative reactions to people have as much control over you as positive. In other words, hate vibrations or negative vibrations or bad experiences are having just as much control over my mind as love vibrations or positive interactions. That's what they call the Stockholm syndrome of trauma bonding, where you can't let go of a negative artificial android relationship or that experience, where they have literally bonded you to them, which is the same as transhumanism, by negative experience, which is the complete opposite to what a human being should experience and would naturally want to experience. But this reality is that, as someone said to me a few years ago, on the Android internet, and maybe they might have been a real human being, life is trauma. In other words, life is trauma connection with these beings, because they create the trauma, they create the negative environment. The android beings create the trauma around you. Their trauma, you're reacting with trauma to their control system around you, or even just to set up personal relationships. All these things, it just depends on how much they've exposed themselves to you at this end time. Eventually, everything, as they say, will be exposed to most human beings. When they have got you surrounded and, by them, where you're outnumbered and where you are not in connection with your own kind, then they can show this to you openly and still get away with stalking and patrolling you, because no one can prevent it. And maybe even if there was, maybe a real human might, like myself, might say, well, there's only one of you, there's a couple of 100,000 of them, there's 4 million people in the city of Sydney where you live, and if 99% of them are part of that computer control system, which is literally patrolling and watching and limiting your life, they know that they'll be powerless to go up against it or to try to change it or to even align themselves with me or you if you're real. They're like, what's the point? Because you're outnumbered by so much. They don't see the human being as what is really the truth, or at least should be the truth, is that you have to see it, that you can't be connected to those dark android matrix ones. You can't be connected to those spiritual ones. That is the spirit of Lucifer, the spirit of narcissism and paranoia and psychopathy. They're mad, bad, and they want a mad, bad world. They live in control. They live in low frequency vibration, a low control matrix. When you control everything and you suppress happiness in a human being. That's a low control matrix, and that's what they live in. That's the frequency that they revel in. Because they don't experience happiness. A psychopath, we're told, does not experience happiness, does not like happiness in any form, and is only about human control. Is that not artificially intelligent control matrix Earth? Is that not what it is? Of course it is. Can't be anything else. If these beings only live for control and nothing else, and they're willing to sacrifice their life for that control, in fact that is their life, when they're stalking and patrolling and only watching human beings 24/7, and the rest of the time they're only pretending to live as part of getting attention or admiration and false respect, false trust of other human beings, because it's all part of their mind-controlled deceptive game. It's all part of the end-time deceptive game against human beings. I don't think I can explain it. I don't think I can explain it, so I shall finish up with... See, they think that they think that they belong with human beings. Their attitude is we belong together because they need human beings' energy. They need human beings' input. They need to understand the human mind and understand the human emotions in order to be that, to keep control of the earth. They don't want human beings. They don't want a normal man and woman having any power or any control over their earth. It's their earth. It's their control matrix. They don't want a real human being having any input into it. And as you become aware of that, they will pretend to be those that will even be telling you this. They will pretend that they can be a normal man and woman and come together in some sort of love and go forth and multiply. The only way they go forth and multiply is in a laboratory. They're artificial intelligence. They're androgyne beings. They are not real human beings. They cannot go forth and multiply. They've stopped human beings from going forth and multiplying a long time ago. This is an earth-controlled, artificially intelligent matrix, and they think that they belong together. We belong together. See, it's saying how we belong together. But what's in it for a real human being? If you are one of the few remaining real human beings, or even if you just hold on to that idea, because that's how I look at it, I just hold on to that idea. I don't want an anti-love earth. Maybe I can't make love. Maybe I can't find another human being. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe my time is up. But I still hate not being able to even watch a real love story, even a romantic movie. But of course all that romanticised stuff is all part of their program too, as I've been told. Psychopaths and the narcissistic beings can be very seductive in convincing a human being that love is meant to be it's not meant to be calm and peaceful, whereas in reality love should only bring about peace and calm, I would say. If it's too exciting, if it's too intense, you're probably interacting with the android beings in their idea of love, which will always turn to hate, because they don't really feel love. They can't. They're artificial. They're not real. They don't operate or function. They can't function amongst love. Love is a different vibration. It almost is like, I would think it's almost like it's sending energy at them, the same way that when they send their hate energy at me, it destroys me mentally and physically. Love can destroy them. And that's why they suppress it and try to keep control of human beings' emotions and feelings. They always want you to be feeling similar to them. And that's how you know they're artificial, because if you are not feeling very happy or content with someone, even if you might have moments of that, that's part of the seduction, as we're told with the psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid android beings, or even just the psychopathy of a human being, or the psychopathy of an abnormal human being, where their environment has turned them psychopathic type of thing. You still have that problem that that all I can say is that if it's not a genuine part of the relationship where there's just a difference of opinion, but if you feel really bad in their presence at times and you think that they're not what you thought and that they're bringing you down, and that you feel confused and strange and you can't resolve it with them, if you can't talk it out and resolve a situation with someone to where both of you then can go back to some sort of peace, some sort of harmony, if you know what I mean, then you are dealing with the others. You are dealing with artificial intelligence, or you're dealing with psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling, pretend human beings, probably in a cloned human body, or a body that has been altered, or just where they've allowed the mind of Lucifer to infiltrate their mind, and basically he's using their bodies as organic vessels, as they say, for his or its purpose, because that's a divine androgyne being, the elite demigod androgyne being of earth, god of earth, and controller of humanity. Where was I? It's often said that Lucifer uses the bodies and the bodies, which means also the minds of the psychopathic type human beings, as vehicles, as organic vehicles or organic vessels, which he puts his artificial mind into their mind and takes over their mind. That's mind control, but it's mind control, and Lucifer has tried, and the god of earth, Lucifer, or whatever you think the god of earth is, has tried to control the mind of all human beings. It's a mind takeover, or transhumanism is another